Continuing on in our canopy design, in this movie we will add a parametric array and constrain all the parts and pieces. So I've got a file here called canopy step 2. You can follow along with me in this file if you have access to the exercise files, or you can continue in your own version that you created in the last movie. So we have our bracket here and we have our awning here, and what we want to do is create an array of both of these, and this is somewhat of a review, but we'll go through the steps anyway. I'm going to start with selecting the object that I want to array, and then I'll click the array button. And as we talked about in previous movie, we can either do a linear or radial. Obviously I want to do linear in this case. I do want to group and associate it because that's what's going to allow me to make it parametric. And I typically just start with a quantity of 2 and adjust it later. I want to make sure that I'm using the move to last option because I basically set these up like bookends. I want my first one and my last one because I find it easier to control that way. So I'll pick my start point and my new point. I've just sort of chosen those randomly at some point. Of course, if I put in some other number, the array would flex and we would see it working from its current position. But what I want to do is actually move these brackets over and attach them to the reference planes that we previously created. So the easiest way to do that is going to be to use the Align tool. I'm going to select Align, and I want to highlight the left edge reference plane as my point of alignment. And if I zoom in a little bit here on the bracket, what you'll notice is that in addition to the edges, which I could certainly align to, in the center of this bracket is a reference plane. That's actually what I want to use as the point to align to. And that will line up the bracket directly on the center of this left edge reference plane, and I'm going to lock that. And I'll come over here and repeat the step on this side, again aligning to the center, and I'll lock that. And then let's repeat the whole thing with this awning. Go to Array, Group and Associate 2, go to the last object, select it, use my Align tool, and this time, again, I want to do left edge. Don't align it to the bracket. We don't want to relate it to the bracket. We want the reference plane in the host family, this canopy family, to control the position of this thing. So make sure you're choosing that left edge reference plane again. And then notice here that there's a reference plane in this family just about an inch away from the edge here. So that's what I want to click, and that makes it line up nicely relative to the bracket. Those two pieces have been designed to fit relative to one another. Let's repeat it on the other side. Right edge reference plane to the invisible reference plane inside the awning. And we'll lock that. So at this point, if we were to flex both of these and adjust the quantity, you would see the quantity change, but those two bookends would stay put there at the end. Now what I want to do next is actually create parameters to control these. So if I select my awning, kind of move my mouse around up here, and look for the array dimension. Sometimes you have to move your mouse around to get it to highlight. We can select that and label it. Let's add a parameter, and I'll call this number of awnings. I'm going to group this under graphics. Again, you can really group it anywhere you like, but I like it under graphics. Number of awnings, it's an integer parameter and it's a type-based parameter. You'll see that label appear right there. Let's do the same thing with the bracket. Again, you might have to move around to find that dimension. Label it, add another parameter. Number of brackets. Put it under graphics. Click OK. So at this point, we'll flex it. I've got my family types dialog. Currently, I have 2 brackets and 2 awnings. Try some other numbers in here. Click apply, and you can see that it is working. Of course, I've chosen some rather random numbers there, and you can see that nothing really quite matches up except the 2 at the ends. Well, if we look at the overall length here, 40 feet, and we select this guy, you notice the name of the awning within that group is called 60 wide. And if you really want to verify that, I could do a measurement and measure it, and it's 4'10" plus the inch gap on either side. So the overall width of this awning is actually 5 feet. So if we do the math, that means that we really need 8 awnings. And if we have 8 awnings, then that means that we need 9 brackets. One more bracket than we have awnings. And if I apply that, you'll see that everything flexes and it all fits nice and neat, and everything is perfectly matched up with the overall length of the canopy. So that completes the setup of the basic array, and in the next movie we'll look at setting those array values up with a little bit more intelligence using either family types or formulas.